Good evening, my friends. I'm pretty enthusiastic. They are reworking the AI, as you can see here. 50 shades of AI, and with a meme, of course. With a meme. How else? Now, first, they're explaining how the AI is done, which we'll look at. Then we'll have a look at how the crisis AI functions in general. That's an extra module. And then we have the economy AI to look at and what they will improve. And I think this is crucial for a lot of people, including me, because it makes a lot of sense. And there's also an added option that will bring clarity what the AI is doing and why it is doing. If you want so, you can activate it with a console command that is very easy. We're going to look at all of that now. So first they're introducing the AI. Our mad robot is in figures of speech. There are three broad kinds of AI, and that's categories for the modules of AI that are in there. So we have the so-called foreign minister. That's the category for diplomacy, federation, galactic community, peace deals and the like. So it's from the new federations. Then we have the interior minister that is in charge of economy, budgets, order, constructions, both civil and military. So builds also fleets. And then we have the military category. Military minister is in command of all troops, military fleets, responsible for laying out strategic plans when at war. So this is about strategy and tactics both. So what do these things do? As you can see here, the French paradox, as he calls himself, Madropod, has started when he started the project with a military AI. It was already redone, and he has redone it again. So redone were the more specialized ones, the crisis and the space monsters. They were kept close to what they were in release, still redone a little bit. He's looking at the improvements he made. So the first thing is, if you type debug AI in the console and observe an AI empire, you can see what it has in mind. Especially the military AI is very observable in that way. As you can see here, there's also a description for that, and that really helps. Like, as you can see here, you have like these red skulls, you have the green skulls here, and there's different targets. The red skull is an imminent target where everything is sent to. As you can see here, they're probably sending that fleet to somewhere here, probably to combat that fleet, because it's close to the border. It's an important system. And then you have the green ones that are further objects of control. So as you can see here, the AI probably wants to go and have these systems as important. So they might send fleets there eventually. And that, as you can see here. So there's a simple analogy. Imagine that the AI has a war minister that looks at the big picture, rates every potential target. So we have a strategy algorithm, so to say. Then we have a general staff who assigns fleets to some of these objectives. So there are the weights that are added. Then the weights are converted into fleets that are sent to these objectives after the priorities, and then we have the admirals that lead those fleets that actually do the steering to have a good point for them available when they actually fly through space. You know, you can lay traps like that. It's cute. You can decide, do I stay at the rim where I can flee quickly, or do I fly into the middle where I can reach everyone quickly? So if you have a big fleet, you would rather stay at the middle where you can reach everyone. If you have a smallish or tight fleet, you might want to stay where you can retreat quickly. These things are made by the military AI, it seems. Then, as you can see, red ones, the ones selected, commit to some fleets. To green ones, other options retained. Finally, for each individual fleet in those task forces, you see what they're doing at present. As you can see here, attack regrouping. And as you can see here, AI decided taking Tirolum was the most important objective with a score. You can see here, that's the score. So that's what the priorities come to. So everything gets assigned a score, and after this score, the imminent targets are made, and after the imminent targets, the fleets are sent to. Now, they're not splitting the fleets up, even though the AI has learned that. And we're coming to that, I think, a little bit later, because the AI was a little bit split happy, and so they like simplified that. So you have always like 3 to 4 usual AI fleets going around there. And that makes them much more effective. Wow, I've never thought that. Don't split up your fleet. Yeah, that's what the AI has learned with that, to making it a little bit more simple. So now let's continue to the Crisis AI, and there's very interesting things that we can learn from the Crisis AI about the behavior of the crisis. And most possibly you can also mod the behavior of the crisis to make it more successful if you want so. And we're going to look into that further now. So as you can see here, you have different behaviors for the Crisis AI. So the crisis has a behavior and the AI has a behavior towards the crisis. And there's where they wanted to give the AI the ability to split fleets. And that was the result. As you can see, the AI is very split happy suddenly. And the problem with this, and with especially the crisis, is how you have in the crisis, you have usually very big fleets that you must throw everything against it, or otherwise you will lose if the crisis is a serious crisis. And yeah, if you split these fleets like that, then any crisis is a serious crisis. So they have solved this by putting a fleet power value on every target, then grabbing fleets by order of priority until it has enough to accomplish the objective or go over the next one. So it relies on available fleets. It doesn't know how to split them. It can only merge them though. And yeah, then they added the ability to split fleets, and it came to this. And then the simplification was made, where the AI will not split as much again. And a simpler approach turned out more efficient. Put all the nation's offensive fleet power into one stack and then consider splitting in 2, 3 or more, depending on how confident the AI feels about this military power versus its foes. Now that explains the behavior that you sometimes see when you have an AI going to war against you. They're assembling the fleets, and I think this is a flaw still a little bit. I mean, it's better than splitting the fleets like mad, but it's a flaw because it is so inflexible that it can lead to such a long time of the AI waiting for fleets to merge. And I've seen that again and again in maximum difficulty games, that you have a roughly same fleet opponent as you, or even more fleets they have, and they're just sitting there in the border systems doing nothing. And you can go fly to other border systems and take them, and they will send some fleets over, but by the time that is done, it is done. And that's one of the big problems of the AI that still has to be solved. And they're giving us the AI defines here, so you can try to solve it with that system, but it will prove quite difficult. And I think that's one thing that will be improved. I mean, it's a big step forward, and it probably helps in fighting the AI, but against a good player, the AI is still helpless because it's so inflexible, and it will not have oh, I want to have a 200k fleet here and a 400k fleet here, and if they fly separately, they can unite there in the enemy territory. That's not something they will do. So let's have a look though at the crisis and the behavior of the crisis, because that's always interesting, right? The Khan has, the crisis have a strategy and a flaw usually. The Khan doesn't really believe in defense, will try to beat the closest systems into submission. And you see that usually the Khan is a very short-lived phenomenon, because he goes on, and then loses once, and then very quickly loses twice, and then the Khan is done. Everything breaks apart, or a federation is formed. Now you know, if you have the Khan as a neighbor, I had that once in my last playthrough, the Khan will go to the closest system, and that's actually exactly what happened. And what I had to do there, because the Khan had its full power, I had to give myself into the Khan, but eventually the Khan will go down very quickly, because this is a behavior that it is at the end not rational anymore. The Khan lost and we got into a federation because we wanted that. We had the choice. Then we have the Pretherin. The Pretherin, and that's of course flavor, they will swarm in every direction they can. So they will split their fleets. It's the easiest crisis, usually told, and that's also because of that behavior, like they're splitting fleets up. And that's of course not tactically good. It's very annoying. It can be very annoying, but it's not tactically good. Then we have the contingency. They will systematically try to stop the biggest threat to the galaxy until nothing remains. And that is one of the most successful strategies. When the contingency spawns, it will be at its biggest strength first, usually. I mean, it can grow a little bit in strength, but out of the box, when the contingency comes, it has the biggest strength, because all the other empires are still at war with each other, and the mutual enemy modifier is not still up there. There's not like these, we are working together now against the crisis thing going on. And so when they try to stop the biggest threat imminently to the galaxy, once they spawn, then this is a very successful strategy. Then we have the Unbidden. They will be harder to predict, but there's a reason behind their alien way of acting. So they're keeping it a little bit in the dark, and I think that's cool. And maybe we'll have another crisis one day at it that has another special behavior to it. That would be very cool. So now let's continue to the economy AI. There's a very good economy AI mod that I use on the AI tournaments I make. And it's also very good if you are at the highest difficulty in Stellaris and want just another challenge, or if you just want a more like human or sensible behavior and bigger fleets earlier in the AI. That's what this enables the AI mostly to do. It's called StarNet AI. Note that the economy AI of Stellaris, that we'll talk about soon, is now influenced also by a modder that made the Gladius AI. That was like kind of the predecessor of the StarNet AI, but not really, because the StarNet AI is developed by someone who has made that separately on his own. So I think it will be very interesting to look at how the economy AI works. Let's see about that. So we got the economy AI. This is done by another one. As you can see, that's Sidestep. That's SAC. That was French Paradox Matt Ropert, and that's SAC here. And he's talking about, so that was the military AI man, and now we're going to Sidestep, who is going for the economy AI. So we have at least two different people for the AIs, and that's very interesting. So what does the economy AI do? It decides how to spend resources, and it spends resources on, for example, on constructions, jobs, policies, edicts, all kinds of things. That is to say, construction is at the core of the Stellaris economy. It fuels the economy, helps grow more pops, which in turn means more resources. So what was previously being done, and that made a lot of sense with a single pops that were so important, it was a planet per planet basis construction. No long-term goal in mind, and that led to a lot of problems, because it would ask, like, do we have a problem in some resource? Is there not enough of this resource? And then it would build all it needed to bring that back into the green. But if you had like open construction spots, or if you had the ability to construct a lot of things at once, then it would like overbuild something. Like then you would from one day to the next, basically, instead of having too few minerals, you would have too much minerals. And it will also not allow really for specializing the planets. So that was replaced with a lot of testing by Sidestep, and we're coming to that. So what was the problematic thing? Was first the thing I mentioned, and then it was really hard to code. Like this was the coding, the priorities for AI wait for one building only, and that's that's of course very long, and it also needs to be adapted for all kinds of governments, all kinds of systems. Like a hive mind would have a totally different one, for example, or like a robot empire. So you had to work on that. The AI is also extremely reactive and not proactive. Yeah, proactive is that that fun business word. Yeah, right. But if you only react, then you will have problems in the end, because I mean, if you react very moderately, you might react in a way that does not solve the problem enough. But if you overreact, then you have an even bigger problem. So being reactive in itself is a problem. You need some kind of goal. Just someday, I mean, if you're sitting there and think, yeah, I might need a lot of alloys later on because I want to expand my fleet, and for that, I need some outposts so that I have more naval capacity, and then I need some more alloys to build that fleet and maintain that fleet. To that came the issues. The main ones he wanted to address. Sidestep was less complex, hard to maintain script. He wanted more proactive AI planning, no isolated planet by planet construction, even though that will still work if the AI has no better plan. They will fall back to that behavior. Then we have overall better economic AI performance. Well, that's a result, that's not a goal. I mean, these three are goals, and then the end result hopefully is the better economic AI performance. And the interesting thing is you can also see with debug tooltip, as you can see here, this will lay open the priorities that the AI has at the moment. The build plan that the AI has will be told to you. A plan. So it now has a plan. It's planned economy. It's the Soviet solution. I'm sorry. So the AI, the Stellaris Crew A had put together a list of economic metrics that they thought the AI should be able to achieve at a certain point of time. They had a set for the early and the late game. And so Sidestep started designing and planning how he would do this rework. And so he came to the conclusion that the AI needed to plan long term. So he gave the AI goals. And with the goals, the AI economic plan was born. How does that work? Let's have a look into that. That's always showing that, because that's what's moddable. The AI is fully moddable, especially the weights are very easily moddable. Other things are a little bit harder moddable. It's fully moddable, and that's very good news. And they are probably relying again on the genius in amidst the modders again. And I fall back to Starnet AI, as I think this man who made this is really good at what he does. And Starnet AI is really a boon, has been a boon, and I hope he'll continue that thing for 2.6. So we have triggers. But the AI plan is different for different types of empires. For example, ensuring no hive minds. So it's a flexible script. And the AI calculates everything. It calculates what makes sense to reach a certain goal, and it then mixes the buildings in to reach that goal. Now, that will lead, if you have a lot of planets, or if the AI has a lot of planets, that will hopefully lead to some specialized planets. If it has fewer planets, it will just end with a combination of buildings that are meant to reach the resource goal with the lowest cost possible. And the cool thing about the new AI that the old AI wasn't able to do is that it has this build plan and so makes a queue for it, or a thought queue. It doesn't have to be queued physically. And then, if that is fixed so far, it predicts the future a bit, like what will I have if I execute this? If it is satisfied, if the goal is reached with what the AI will have built when it has finished the queue, then it won't go and try to reach more of that thing. something that the old AI would do. Like it would build. For example, if you had a lack of energy resources, it would build a lot of power until the point the power was in the plus. But then there was still the queue, and then when the queue was finished, you were so much in the plus that you probably couldn't use that thing anymore as an AI. So that is done, and it makes it a lot better. Now it's also a little bit inflexible, and that's where, of course, the modders come in and their ideas, and maybe one has to rethink that. I don't know how exactly, but it is good to give that thing a plan. But as we all know, a planned economy has its limits, and there still needs to be something reactive. So now we have a proactive, kind of reactive thing, but a really a strategic reactive AI that integrates with a strategic goal would be the plan. But that's of course coming back to this. The AI will take my job and my family. No, it will not. The AI isn't as clever as you would think. It's very good at solving non-complex problems, I'd call them. Data-based problems, I'd call them. Here it all comes together. As you can see here, you can that's something you can mod here, the scoring for the different problems that can arise. And so you can see how the AI prioritizes different problems and solves them economically and plans the goals accordingly. That's very nice. So it sounds complicated and messy. I don't think it sounds that complicated, but of course, if you look at the programming, that's not easy to do. I mean, it's what a programmer does, and if you're a programmer, then you probably think, this is cheesecake. It's very easy. But I have an HTML level or QBasic, if any one of you remembers that, of programming. And for me, it's okay, but it's not easy at all. If Blog currently has a steady income in all resources except for minerals where net income is -1, and it is using the default plan as outlined before with a mineral income goal of 200 and a mineral focus goal of 30, as we can have here, then when the algorithm is scoring a mineral district, it would see that the blog is currently missing 200 net mineral income to reach its goal. Would give this a very high base score since the relative amount of income is missing is huge. See that the mine district produces resources needed for a focus goal and multiply the score by a defined factor, and then see that blog currently has a mineral deficit and yet again multiply the score by a defined factor. So you can see how it decides there. Would give a score for the build plan to use when prioritizing buildings, and a mining district or several would soon be constructed by the blog. Would work similarly no matter which building we're looking at. Important thing is that it scores it relatively to how much you're missing from your goal and deducts any planned building resources from set goals, meaning that if you're only missing 2 mineral income, the score wouldn't be that high. And if you have queued a mineral producing building, then the AI would no longer look at those buildings, because the ones you have planned account for all you need to reach that goal. That's what I said. It can see the future a bit, and that makes it a lot better already. At least its own planned future. So he's satisfied with that plan, with how the planned economy AI now works. And the AI performs better and stabler of all. So there is hope that it will produce bigger fleets in a shorter time, and maybe you can then give sector AIs to the AI actually, and not shriek in pain when you look at what was built. So that's one of the main goals. Like, make these assistance systems work. You can always make the AI better by giving it more resources. That's very easy to do. But this, of course, is even better. And if the economy AI now integrates a little bit into the strategic AI and like the give me fleets AI, then it will hopefully be very, very good. So what still is there is, I said that, planet by planet system. is still working also to make the old mods still work. So if the AI has no plan, then it will use that. And if you have any mods that work on that, and you update them for the new version, you don't have to change absolutely everything. You can just update it somehow, or you can integrate it into the plans system. That is your choice. You can probably combine it, and that's very nice. I'm really looking forward to the new system of the AI. And if this is modded too by the geniuses that make the AI mods, then we'll probably have a much, much stronger AI and a much, much bigger challenge. Because you've seen there was like an influx of YouTubers that made basically this is against the super brutal AI and so on. And this is partly due to it was very doable to beat the strongest level of AI in Stellaris. And it has been so for a while, but not if you choose to take something like standard AI. That makes it so much harder. It's not even close. Like if in 100 years the standard AI will have like an economy that gives the AI 5 times the fleets sometimes. It's really crazy. And so it's really cool that they took the time and improved the AI, because that's one of the things you don't want to play against idiots, right? If you want to play against idiots, you can take one of your friends that never plays Stellaris and like confront them with it and like play against them, make a dumb bet maybe if they're overconfident, and then you can play against an idiot. In that case, when I started Stellaris first, I behaved like an idiot, but I didn't know it. Now it all goes relatively well. I can beat it on the highest level without any problem. I hope that changes with the new AI, and I hope you're looking forward to that too, and maybe to AI allies in your games that actually make sense. That would be great, right? To have a Federation partner that makes absolutely sense for you. So, looking forward to that. Have a great time until next time, and happy gaming. This is Immanuel Khan signing out. See you soon. And yeah, looking forward to Federations and the AI update. See you soon, and happy gaming. This is Immanuel Khan signing out.